Hello, Belmont. This is Hannah Fisher with your community calendar. April has arrived and my forsythia is blooming, the tulips are making their entrance, and I may be able to put away my mittens. Here's hoping. April's a time of rebirth on so many fronts, and much of the reawakening I see is in nature. I recently finished a book by Richard Powers, Overstory, which I highly recommend. In this amazing novel, there are detailed descriptions of how trees talk. Trees communicate through an underground infrastructure of fungal filaments that connect root systems. This allows them to share nutrients, water, and warn each other of dangers like forest fires. They also communicate through the air using chemical sense signals and pheromones to warn of predators. I've been thinking a lot about that lately and hope that the trees in Belmont have communicated with each other that winter is over and it's time to bloom and shake out their leaves. Here in Belmont, I'm going to spend this show giving you reasons to leave your home, shake out your leaves, and celebrate spring. With that, let's see what Belmont has in store for us in this amazing month of rebirth. Starting off the month, we have one of my favorite forms of communication, music. On Friday, April 10th, Friday Second Concerts presents Ellis Paul with special guest Diane Ziegler. Ellis Paul is a folk singer-songwriter and storyteller whom critics have noted embodies a distinctive Boston school of songwriting. He is also an illustrator, poet, children's book author, producer, and educator. His songs have appeared in several blockbuster films and have been covered by award-winning country artists. He has released 23 albums and is a touring presence around the world. To purchase tickets, visit secondfridayconcerts.org. Sticking with the music theme, on Saturday, April 11th at 3 p.m., we have the Belmont Public Library's Saturday Music Series. This month, Belmont welcomes award-winning classical guitarist Francesco Barone. Barone has performed widely across the United States as a soloist and chamber musician. He has been featured by guitar societies, including the Boston Classical Guitar Society and the New England Guitar Society. As a prize winner of the Philadelphia Classical Guitar Society guitar competition, his performances have also been broadcast on NPR. Barone's debut album is set for release in late 2025. Visit belmontpubliclibrary.net for more information. Our first arbor-related project, albeit of the mini variety, takes place on Sunday, April 12th at Belmont's own mini forest in front of the Belmont High School. A phenology project awaits. I had to look up the word phenology, and it means, and I'm quoting, the study of recurring plant and animal life cycle events such as leafing, flowering, migration, and hibernation driven by weather and climate. The program starts at 4 p.m. for happy hour phenology and continues weekly through the end of the growing season. Volunteers will be trained to spend 15 to 20 minutes a week documenting seasonal phenomena such as bud break, leaf growth, flowering, fruiting, and leaf drop. Data will help the National Phenology Network study trends in climate change. Registration is available at bioforclimate.org. Now on to yet another form of communication, poetry. Belmont is blessed to have amazing poets in our midst, ready to celebrate National Poetry Month with us. An Evening with Belmont Poets on Monday, April 13th at the Belmont Public Library features readings by Wendy Drexler, Valerie Duff, Julietta Holman, A.M. Juster, Catherine Rockwood, Ruth Smullen, Jacob Stroutman, and Richard Waring. There will be an open mic opportunity as well, so bring your poetry and celebrate this amazing art form. No registration is required. On to another Tree/Arbor Day related event. You may have seen folks at Lone Tree Hill, Rock Meadow, and other forested areas in Belmont wearing gloves, pulling weeds, and pruning. These volunteers are part of the Belmont Conservation arm of Sustainable Belmont. Belmont Conservation volunteers work to control the spread of ecologically harmful non-native plants. What a wonderful opportunity to get outside for fresh air and light exercise, to restore your local public lands, and to meet your neighbors, all in the name of improving Belmont's green spaces. Information on volunteering is available at sustainablebelmont.net. On Wednesday, April 15th, head to the Belmont High School Auditorium to experience an evening of band ensemble music at the annual POPS concert, a fundraiser supporting POMS, Parents of Music Students, the booster organization dedicated to supporting and enriching the music experience of K-12 students in Belmont Public Schools. This inspiring concert will be followed by a reception with delicious treats and more music. Tickets are available at pomsbelmont.booktix.com. One person's weed might be another person's favorite flower, or as my mother used to say, a weed is just an out-of-place flower. Belmont residents can welcome spring on April 15th at 2 p.m. and explore the wonder of wild weeds. Join clinical herbalist Mo Katz Christie for a stroll and learn about the magic of medicinal herbs. Hear what it means to look to local plants for medicine, especially when soil may be contaminated and invasive plants abound. What does it mean for a plant to be a weed? And where do humans belong in relationship to the ecosystem? Registration for this event is required at belmontpubliclibrary.net. After working in the garden, adults might feel the need for a massage. Unfortunately, this next event isn't going to target your aches and pains. Rather, it targets the baby variety. Certified educator of infant massage, Mary Beelman, will teach baby massage techniques every Wednesday in April at the Belmont Public Library. This massage class will combine Swedish and Indian massage in addition to reflexology. Massage can help babies with sleep, gas, and fussiness. It also enhances the connection between caregivers and babies. Each class will include discussion, demonstration of strokes, and time for questions and answers. Registration is required at belmontpubliclibrary.net. Our next event illustrates yet another form of communication, storytelling. On Friday, April 17th, the First Church Belmont is holding an evening with Glenn Cabral, connecting cultures through storytelling. Mr. Cabral is an internationally acclaimed storyteller who has been enchanting audiences with his storytelling performances at schools, libraries, museums, and festivals since 1976. A great-grandson of a Cape Verdean whaler whose grandparents immigrated to America from the islands off the coast of West Africa, Glenn's strong Cape Verdean ancestry comes alive in his exuberant retelling of African, Cape Verdean, and Caribbean folktales, as well as original stories and tales from around the world. Additional information on this event is available at uubelmont.org. Can anything good come from an American architect in Paris engaged to 3 airline stewardesses simultaneously? Find out when the Belmont Dramatic Club presents Boeing Boeing, with performances running from April 18th through 26th. Boeing Boeing is a comedy farce written by French playwright Marc Camoletti in 1960. It is chaotic and silly, allowing comedic actors to shine with fast-paced dialogue and lots of physical comedy. Performances are being held at the Belmont Town Hall Auditorium, and tickets are available at belmontdramaticlub.org. Kicking off April Vacation Week, we have a Storytime event at the Belmont Public Library. On Saturday, April 18th at 3 p.m., bring the whole family to an event and fall in love with the stories and illustrations of Caldecott-winning Armenian-American author and artist Nani Hagrogian. Read her adaptations of Armenian folktales in English, play games, and create a craft. This event is recommended for families with children ages 3 and up, but all are welcome. This program is the first in a collaboration between the National Association for Armenian Studies and Research and the Belmont Public Library, with additional support from the Friends of the Belmont Public Library. Please RSVP at belmontpubliclibrary.net. Another super exciting school vacation week event at the Belmont Public Library is Science Heroes, Adventures of the Missing Color. Participants can experiment with the colorful science that's all around us while exploring ways to use STEM to make our world better. Witness the water cycle in action with a cloud in a bottle experience, the power of air pressure and energy with a floating eye, and much more. Science Heroes is a network of teaching artists who present interactive science programs at schools, libraries, and events to get kids all over the country excited about STEM. Registration is required to mean safe numbers. This program is recommended for ages 4 and up, but all are welcome. On to a very important and informative event. On Wednesday, April 29th at the Beach Street Center, the Belmont Council on Aging and the Belmont Age-Friendly Action Plan Committee are sponsoring an Age in Place resource fair. This 4 to 6 p.m. open house event is for seniors, families, and caregivers. More than 40 vendors and experts will be on hand to discuss adaptive home care, home modifications, health, fitness and nutrition, transportation, education, and empowerment, and much more. Our next workshop is aimed at helping women in times of personal or professional crisis. Crises can arrive without warning, quickly turning well-managed lives into a state of confusion and chaos. The right allies and resources are vital to navigating the way to the best possible outcome. Deborah Woog, Principal Crisis Navigation Partner and founder of Connect to Corporations, will deliver a workshop titled Unmasking Women in Crisis: 3 Keys to Navigating Inevitable Life Challenges. Ms. Woog will detail strategies to help participants make better informed decisions, feel less stress and isolation, communicate more effectively, and save precious time and energy. Registration is required at belmontpubliclibrary.net. Coming full circle with our themes of spring, trees, and communication, we are led to our final event of the month, a farewell ceremony for Belmont's copper beech tree. This tree has graced the town green for more than a century, but is succumbing to a disease and will need to be removed in the near future. The Belmont Shade Tree Committee and the Department of Public Works invite you to join them on Sunday, May 3rd at 12:30 at the town green adjacent to the First Church for a celebration, including poetry reading and a performance by the church's children's choir, as well as remarks by those who enjoyed the Copper Beech. I have no doubt that this tree has had an amazing view of all things Belmont for the last century. If only trees could talk. With Arbor Day upon us and my newfound fascination with how trees communicate, it seems fitting to have Belmont's own tree warden here to talk about the arboreal splendors of Belmont. Welcome, Will.
Hey, thank you for having me. How's it going?
It's great. It's such a beautiful day. I love the spring.
Absolutely.
So can you just introduce yourself and tell us a bit about what a tree warden does?
Sure. Yeah. My name is Will McPhee. I'm the tree warden for the town of Belmont, as well as the natural resource manager for the town. And yeah, kind of the basic gist of the role as tree warden is it's my job to manage all of the urban canopy for the town of Belmont. Really, what that means is I'm a risk manager for the town. If any resident has any concerns about trees, it's my job to go out to the tree in question and to look at it and to determine if there's any issues that the tree poses to safety of any kind, either to property or to people. Or it's also just, to as I'm out and about to look at the trees in general and see what I can be doing to maintain the safety of the community as well as the health of our urban canopy. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. And that, at least in my role as tree warden, doesn't so much spill over to, larger open spaces, say, for example, Rock Meadow, Lone Tree. It's mostly confined to public rights of way or parks, like, for example, the town green, where the Copper Beech is located. Which we'll be having a memorial for later next month, the 3rd, I believe. But yeah, that's pretty much what being tree warden is, kind of in a nutshell.
Great. Okay, and I'm going to take you back a little because now that I have this newfound fascination with trees, I'm wondering how you became fascinated with trees and this
Sure.
this area.
Yeah, yeah. My background with trees really got started, I would say, in high school. I attended Minuteman Regional High School in Lexington, the vocational school over there, where I majored in horticulture. And yeah, after my 4 years there, completing my horticulture degree from Minuteman, that kind of got the ball rolling. And I then decided that I wanted to pursue that further at the university level where I then attended University of Maine, and I actually got my bachelor's degree in Parks, Recreation, and Tourism, focusing in recreation management. And that did brush up quite a bit with forestry, but it did also include kind of the kind of broader people aspect as well. And then I also got my master's after that, my master's of forestry, also at the University of Maine, where I majored in forestry and specifically was looking at emerald ash borer management, which is something that we do here in Belmont as well. So that was kind of the general track that led me here. And yeah, after completing my master's, I came back to Massachusetts, where I grew up, and that's what led me now to be tree warden for the town of Belmont.
Excellent. So tell us a little bit about you talked about risk management and working on the areas of town like town greens. Talk a little bit about what your kind of day what does that mean for a tree warden? What are the specific types of activities that you're doing during the day or planning for?
Yeah, yeah. So I would say that my day is kind of fairly evenly split between being spent out in the field as well as in the office doing more administrative work. Probably about, 60/40 office to field work. But yeah, it's pretty well balanced. So most of the day is, speaking with residents or reading through emails or, other correspondence that people have written to me with regard to concerns over trees. Um, and then that kind of creates my itinerary for the day. And I take that itinerary and I then go out in the field. So it depends, upon the season, whether I have a very, chock full schedule or, less going on. But Typically, yeah, it's a matter of just following up with residents, seeing what concerns are, going out into the field, looking at those
Mhm.
trees, seeing what the town can do, and if there aren't any concerns that residents have brought to me, then I will go out in the field and I'll monitor either ongoing projects or look at open spaces or other public rights of way where I do know that there are larger concerns at play. And yeah, it's my job basically to be out there monitoring the tree health and as needed, then passing that along to our contractors who the town works with to maintain our canopy. Yeah.
Right. So you talk about kind of concerns, and I'm curious as to when you're out there,
Mhm.
like what are the kinds of things that strike you that people either are contacting you about, or you just notice when you're driving or walking through the streets of Belmont? What do you see? What are you looking for?
Yeah, I'd say the real things that I'm looking for are primarily various signs of stress. So that can be a lot of things, but oftentimes signs of stress can include, during times of year where trees are leafed out and you can see the foliage, that will look like foliage, oftentimes wilted. They can be dry and kind of crunchy, like what you would expect during fall, but during times of year where that's not normal, so middle of summer, late spring, times like that. Anything that would show an immediate problem, that would be one of them, but it can also be sloughing of bark off of the trunk of a tree. Some species do that naturally. We have London plane trees here in town, which are a hybridized sycamore species, and those shed bark naturally, but some species don't shed bark naturally. So I'll look
Mhm.
for bark falling off of trees, defoliation, when foliage is out, things like that. Also, dead wood, that can be smaller, twigs and branches or larger limbs. Any dead wood, signs of rot, so that could potentially be fungus growing on trees. Um,
Mhm.
Weak joints, so where limbs meet the trunk of the tree, if that looks like it's a weak attachment, that could be a concern for me. But another big one that I also look for is the root flare of the tree. What you want to see ideally on a tree is kind of at the base where the tree meets the soil and disappears below ground. You want there to be kind of a tapering outward to meet the soil,
Mhm.
and you'll quite oftentimes also see trees that haven't been planted properly. And when that
Mhm.
happens, it kind of looks like a telephone pole. It's just the soil and then straight up. No,
Mhm.
no flare at the bottom. And so that's a big concern for me as well, something I like to take note of. So yeah, to answer your question, I would say anything with foliar, abnormalities, whether that's, premature defoliation at times of year where you shouldn't see leaves falling, that can be wilting, any form of, decline of the tree is really what I look for.
Okay. So that all makes sense, and I've seen the trucks out and trimming of trees and such, and I was thinking about how residents could, or what residents could do to ensure that this doesn't happen to their
Mhm.
trees. And I think a lot of it probably starts, and it's the spring, so I'm seeing this all over, with what we're choosing to plant. And I know that there, you mentioned specific trees that do well in this area or that you see in this area. If just a homeowner wants to choose a tree or plant a tree, on their lawn, or they've lost a tree, what's the first step? What would you recommend for folks? Should they contact their landscapers? Do they contact you? Kind of what's the best way to ensure that 10 years from now, you're not out here telling them that their tree is having all of these problems?
Yeah, yeah. So I think if you're a homeowner that's considering planting a tree, whether again that's on your own private property, um, or with the town, the first thing is, picking a good species that's going to do well in the area where it's going to be planted. Here in Belmont, we have what we refer to as the Belmont Preferred Shade Tree List. We do try to select trees that will have the best shot. And so through that preferred shade tree list, we allow residents to kind of have a easier time selecting species, either for their own
Mhm.
yards or again on public property. And yeah, so that is a good first resource to kind of get an idea of what you
Okay.
want to have
Mm-hmm.
planted. Then, if it's a private tree that's going to go in your yard on your own property, then you can mention that to your landscaper or to your arborist, whoever's going to be doing that work, and they can, either confirm or deny if that tree is going to be a good fit in that precise area.
Hmm.
If it is a public tree, if it's going to be planted on that strip between the road and the sidewalk, then in that case, that would be a town tree. And so you can call the town of Belmont and say, hey, I think I would like a tree in front of my property on that little strip. Can that is that something that the town can do for me, and we can then say, yeah, we have space on our planting list, or we're a little bit backed up, what have you, and we can work with you to get that tree planted. And if it is a public planting, that the
Hmm.
town does just free of charge, just as a public service. More often than not, we pick the species of what goes there. Again,
Okay.
it comes from that preferred shade tree list. But if the homeowner does have a specific tree that they do want planted in a specific location, um, then we offer what we call the commemorative shade tree program, which allows the resident to, again, pick the site, pick the species, and also have a little commemorative plaque as well, to go with the tree. And all of that can be purchased for a fee of $500 per stem, per tree planted. And that includes, the labor to plant the tree, to procure the tree, everything, included in the process. So those are two ways that residents can go about planting trees if they want to go through the town. But they can also use the preferred shade tree list with a private contractor of their choosing as well.
Okay. And how would residents find out about both that commemorative, the shade tree program, but also finding the list of native trees and, you know, information about town services?
Yeah, yeah. So as far as the commemorative shade tree program goes, that
Hmm.
is listed on the town's website under the
Okay.
DPW. You can scroll to the bottom and you'll see a little tree icon, and it should say, shade tree program. And you click on that, there'll be two links. One is to a form that you can fill out if you're interested in participating in the program. You can list the
Hmm.
species, location, all that information, and you can mail that to us or hand it in person, along with the payment for however many trees you want planted, and we go ahead and we add that to the list of commemorative shade trees to be planted. Um, and that's for the shade tree program. But for the list of trees, if that's something that you're wanting to reference, that can be found just by a brief Google search. Just go in and enter Belmont preferred shade tree list right in the
Hmm.
search bar, and it should come up just as a PDF in the search results. And yeah, it lists out all the species that we've recommended.
Okay. Okay. Great. My final question for you, and this is a really
Sure.
hard one, I'm sure. Either in Belmont or just kind of in your own, wherever you've spent time, what is
Sure.
your favorite type of tree? Like, do you have a favorite tree or a group of types of trees?
See now. Oof. Now you're giving me the hard questions here.
See, I told you this is
Um,
the hard one. Okay, could be a few. You could just say this is my favorite type of tree or trying to help you out here.
Yeah, yeah, no, absolutely. No, I think yeah, around here, I would say my favorite tree, if I think if it's a forest, if it's just a natural native tree in a forest, I like a good white pine. Something about them, I don't know.
Mm,
They're just that good. I like a good white pine. I think they're just kind of, your quintessential kind of New England forest tree,
hmm.
kind of forest. But anyway, yeah, yeah, white pine. But I think throughout my travels, I'd also say one of my favorite trees that I've seen elsewhere is a Norfolk Island pine, which are
Mm,
Southern Hemisphere, kind of around Australia, New Zealand, that area. I think you can also find them in Hawaii. I don't know if they're native, but
hmm.
yeah, kind of the Pacific region. It's an evergreen that's found around there. And yeah, yeah, that's also one that I really like. So two of my favorites right there. Something about the evergreens. Just can't beat them.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for joining us
Yeah,
and have a wonderful Arbor Day, Earth Day month, all of those things that are coming up. So enjoy.
absolutely. Thank you very much.
Thank That's it for this edition of the Belmont Community Calendar. If you would like to see your event featured on this program, please email event details to joanna@belmontmedia.org. Thank you. And now here's a list of upcoming Belmont meetings that Belmont Media Center will air.